telling you, talk about this now.
It's an expensive politics to play with
And
one life.
it is too much. I'm telling you.
And
that is why the scientists, the doctors, the medical people, they don't have facts.
And to be honest with you, because they are at the forefront. We thank God that nothing has happened to our sister.
Hello, viewers. My name is Tolash Jayaba, and I'm using this opportunity again to welcome you to another episode of The Opinion. Last week, we started discussion on COVID-19. And this week, again, we want to continue our discussion on the issue. Like we said last week, we discussed about how it started, where it is at the moment. But with me, before I move on with that, with me in the studio, I have with me Dr. Adebola Adisa. Dr. Adebola Adisa, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Pleased to meet everyone. Hello, viewers.
All right. You're welcome to this program, Doctor.
Thank you.
And I have with me...
Thanks for having me.
All right. You're welcome, ma. And I have with me again another important guest. He is Dr. Dede Imbikan. Dr. Dede Imbikan, how are you, sir?
Fine, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome to this show. And with me, again in the studio, I have with me Dr. Ati Imbikan. Hello, Dr. Ati, how are you, ma?
Okay, I'm fine. Thank you for having me.
All right. I want to welcome every one of us to this program again. One of the reasons why we are having this program is we're trying to educate the community about anything that is actually going on in our community. And because I know last week we started discussing about COVID-19, but because since the beginning of the problem of with COVID-19, we'll be having a series of different messages coming into through our social media, through the news, and some of them are not really, some of them are fake and some are real. And that is one of the reasons why we decided one of the reasons why we're having this program. And today with me, because of our time, I don't want to take much of our time. If I start with Dr. Adebola Adisa, because you are a medical doctor, you are a GP with one of the GP surgeries around. I know last week we discussed about the problems associated with COVID-19. But if I just have to come back to you as a medical doctor, please, can you just tell us briefly what you understand about COVID-19, coronavirus?
Okay, thank you. So coronavirus, which in actual fact, the one causing COVID-19 illness is a new coronavirus, which means that coronaviruses have existed for a while. We already know them. They've caused different diseases in the past, but this one is a new one in that we do not know everything about it yet. It's completely new, kind of out of the blue. From what we know, it's a particular kind of virus which used to occur in some animals that never cross-infected to human beings until late last year, when it sort of cross-infected to human beings who we believe ate some of the animals that were infected somewhere in China, which we all know, Wuhan. So it's completely new, and I think that's what has caught all of us out of the blue. Not only is it new, it is quite vicious, so virulent as well. And even people who do survive it, some of them have like lasting lung infections and illnesses. So I think for the purpose of our viewers, what is important about the new, for a lot of research hopefully is going on, because obviously we're all worried and we're all scared. A lot of people have died from this virulent virus, and the illness it causes, I earlier said, can be quite fatal, causing death and very severe lung infections and illnesses. So viruses, are not bacteria. So antibiotics generally won't work unless there's also an infection with the bacteria. And so that's part of the problem. We really don't know. I hope that answers your question.
All right. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. If I quickly want to go to Dr. Dede, please. I know last week, the reason why I decided to allow Dr. Adisa to tell us a bit about COVID-19 is because she's a medical doctor. And I know last week we have had discussions on that as well. But what we really wanted to discuss today is about the lockdown issue. And if I have to go to Dr. Dede, please, about this lockdown issue, do you think this is the right thing for the government to do?
Like I said, the reason why I asked some vital questions that have disturbed me as a person.
Okay.
Because, if you look at it in a sense, in spite of the lockdown, we still have a lot of debt.
Yeah.
It's not been up in the tens and sometimes even in the hundreds. So you wonder whether it's really the right thing to do. But again, it looks like it's a lesser evil, because if, let's say, life was allowed to continue as normal, instead of having people dying in the tens and the hundreds, perhaps we'll be hearing thousands and millions. So in a sense, staying at home is a lesser evil, but I'm still wondering if that is the solution, or is the absolute way to approach this matter, to ask people to stay in the home. And I wonder where it is coming from. If people are staying in their home and are still catching it, then where is safe? If the home is not safe, in spite of it, getting, that social contact that as normal, then you wonder where is safe. Okay, so it's a bit of worry. I'm as confused as the medical personnel, as the government itself. Seriously.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Ati, like he said we are at home, locked down at the moment, but it's more like it's not really that really safe. Do you have any idea of what you think government should include when it comes to a situation like this?
I don't know completely what the government should do, but I think, staying at home is a good starting point, because that way people are not together. People are not transferring this disease to another person, People are trying to do well. If you ask me what I think government should do, I know a lot of people are still flouting these orders, Whilst they are asking people to stay at home, there are people in the fields, there are people in the gardens, there are people working together in groups right now, even as I speak to you, So if they could also look into that, see, because not everybody who is outside is going on an essential duty. So people are still positive. And there are people also who know that they are infected and are deliberately trying to infect other people, They're going about spitting in fruits, touching doors, touching the handles of cars and stuff like that, So for me, I think staying at home, whilst it may not look like the best option, first of all, this issue, this problem is a very novel one. So we don't know exactly, the root cause of it or how it can be contained. But I think staying at home is a good starting point.
All right, thank you. Dr. Ademola, please, because you are a medical doctor here, and probably you might also be one of the key workers. And well, as a medical doctor, you understand the proper problems associated with this disease. But what are your advice? What are your advices towards for the people on this issue at the moment? And before you answer that one, I want you to also include the medical facts attached to this coronavirus. What are the medical? Because we don't even have the real. Sometimes we are confused.
Yeah. Okay, maybe we should start with some of the facts that we know, because we don't know enough. We know lives might have been lost by then, but hopefully we'll learn from it so that were it to occur again, we'll be able to deal with it much better. But some of the facts that we know, and which is part of what is advising the government strategies and what they're asking us to do. Lots of hand washing, because there is hopefully a scientific, especially it can kill the virus quickly, and that's the short of it. And so that not only hand wash, the way this virus is transmitted is from a kind of, they don't really think it's airborne. There's no hard fact yet that it's airborne, but there's still a lot of research into that. But they feel that it's transmission. So if someone who was infected coughed into their hands or sneezed into their hands, the virus survives, and somebody else touches it and then touches their own mouth or face, they can get it. So that's the way we think is transmitted at the moment, which is why hand washing is part of maybe one of the most important things. So the chances are that even if we get this virus, we will survive it. We might have a mild illness. So in some instances, some people don't even have any illness at all, but yet they test positive. But quite a lot of people will just have maybe a cough or a fever, or a cold or sneeze, like a flu symptoms, and body a couple of weeks. Whereas, even though you are not exhibiting any illness, in terms of isolation and more or less social distancing, that's where the importance of that is. That we need to be socially distancing ourselves from other people, because we don't know who has this illness, you see. So based on scientific evidence at the moment, current guidance is that we self-isolate. Sorry, I've got my children in the background.
All right.
So we should self-isolate, if we have any illness or somebody in our household has the illness, and also we should socially distance ourselves. And like, Dr. Ati said, the enforcement of that needs to be more, like you said, we're allowed, it's not that we're not, at the moment in the United Kingdom, we're allowed to go out for maybe exercise, which is what we're doing. We're riding, cycling outside for half an hour or so, and we'll go back. But you know, people are still going out. Like you said, people have, you know, it's not strict enough as well as maybe it could be. Again, in retrospect, maybe we've done the right thing or not, we won't really know, but I hope we're doing the right thing. We can only hope that, you know, based on evidence, we're doing the right thing by self-isolating and socially distancing ourselves and washing our hands.
Thank you, Ma.
Thank you.
Dr. Hattie, do you think, after all of this, I know there was another announcement maybe about 2 or 3 days ago that we're going to be locked down for the next 3 weeks. And yesterday, there were some discussions about probably the end of June. But my question here is, do you think this will solve this problem?
Until they are able to find a lasting solution to it, which we all know will not be in 3 weeks or 1 month. You know, it could be even up to a year. But for now, we don't know if locking people down for the next 3 months will completely take it's not even an antidote, you know, for the virus. It's just a way to try and see that we don't have this number of death tolls going up. So it's a way to try and keep it down a bit until, you know, a solution, they come up with a solution.
Thank you. I know, Dr. Dede, you said you have a question.
Well, I think my question is one that is okay, and where is this thing coming from? Because we've had a lot of theories. We've had that this, yes, is the coronavirus transmitted from animals to humans, and it was manufactured in the lab. I may not be using the right biological or medical term to, you know, but the thing is, it's a vial that was, you know, manufactured. And when you read through these stories, yes, we know that people can make up things just to get attention, just to sell their stories. But there is a string that flows through this that suggests that while it may not be the full truth, there are elements of it that point to the fact that this is sort of thing that is not normal. Okay, the normal thing that, like Dr. Ade said, is that this coronavirus has been in existence and is usually, you know, in animals, and it never transmitted. And these people were eating these animals all the while. They didn't just eat a new type of animal. It was just the same animal they've been eating all the while. So how come just now we find out this animal have started transmitting? Why hasn't it transmitted all
this way?
10 years ago, 20 years ago? It hasn't. And just now it started transmitting. You know, so I am sincerely, I don't want to believe, you know, why it is hard to take those stories hook, line, and sinker. Yes, it is difficult to discard some of those stories because logically it doesn't make sense that the animal they've been eating all the while, all of a sudden coronavirus decided to metamorphose into something that, you know, will suddenly begin to kill everybody, you know, and it's hard. It's really hard to believe.
Did we have a new breed of animal or a new species?
And then you have the mass media, you have the mass media suppressing these alternative news. It's very hard, and that's the whole thing that is making it even more difficult. We hear that what the scientists are working on, and they're working on predictive model. What that means to me is simply that they have not got the original makeup of this thing that is done based on that will be trial. So if you have the real thing, you know what exactly you're working towards. You're not going to try and say, let me simulate what that is. It's because you're sure. Okay, so it's really, really a hard thing. I mean, seriously, it bothers me. I'm sure.
Thank you for bringing this. Thank you for bringing this up again. Thank you for bringing it up again. I think I tried to asked a question about this last week. We spoke about it last week because what you just said, I remember last week when I was asking the question that, yeah, fine, this thing, it seems to be pre-planned from outside, from what I can, because by the time you try and put one or two things through, I tried to bring in a politician today, but it's just that it's not available. But probably next week he might, because to me, I'm still thinking that there's a possibility that this virus has a kind of connection with politics in the world. I'm telling you, but I don't really want to talk about this now.
It's an expensive politics to play with
And
one life.
it is too much. I'm telling you.
And
And that is why the scientists, the doctors, the medical people, they don't have facts.
And I
to be honest with you,
because they are at the forefront. We thank God that nothing has happened to our sister. But what about others who we don't know? They die from this, you know?
Yeah.
Serious.
Yeah.
If I might come in, I mean, what you're saying is everyone is scared.
Very scared and confused.
I mean, yeah. There is fear. But we also have to have hope as well and believe, I think, because we can't give up. Because we don't have any choice. No one knows for certain what's happening. But I think when we look back at human history, we'll find out that this is not the first of its kind when it comes to pandemics and plague. You know, there has been the Spanish flu. There has been the black people in which they then developed vaccines for. So things like smallpox, you know, these are things that used to kill people in thousands and a lot of people until they developed vaccines for them. So the human nature is very interesting in that it changes and things that for some reason nobody knows why this virus mutated and started infecting human beings. But based on past history of human illnesses, it kind of is allowable. At the same time, yeah, there are a lot of conspiracy theories.
Yes.
You know, again, it's hard to know what's the truth, but in terms of, you know, this period, I personally, I try to block out as much unfavorable news as possible because one can go crazy, really, literally. I don't think I've seen an influx of news and, you know, messages like this period where, you know, every second you're just getting, you know, all sorts of news, whether they're true or not, you're just getting it. So, I mean, one is not trying to be unrealistic and burying your head in the sand like nothing is happening, but at the same time we need to be careful how much is filtering into us and try and verify if we can, you know, as much as possible, because there's so many conspiracy theories, whether they are true or not, hopefully we'll find out later. But I mean, based on human history, it's not completely out of the blue or unusual. Similar things have happened in the past and like that is what I would like to, you know, say in terms of what's happening now.
So from the way it is now, it's not, to be honest with you, it's not been easy for us to stay at home 24 hours. We've been here for the past 4 weeks now, and we still cannot say when we are coming out of this situation. But what can you say to people that are watching right now on what they need to do in order to be able to move on with this situation and to be able to cope with the lockdown issue?
Thank you. I think it's so important, and it's I'm glad you raised this topic. I think essentially our mental health is so important. I mean, one could go, you know, literally the days when, you know, I'm at home with the children and, you know, you run out of things to do, and I'm hungry, I'm bored. That's all you hear. You think the same way exactly. And just want to, this has to end already, but I think we need to look at the positives. Imagine if we didn't have social media. Imagine if we didn't have mobile phones, electricity. Imagine if we didn't have, at least for people who live in this country, for instance, we have access to, even that's why the initial toilet roll tissue panic. There's food in the shops. Now, there's benefits. There are positives. I look at it as there's more time to spend with my children, more quality time. There are things about them that I didn't really know because I didn't have that time. We need to see the positives. It's difficult. I mean, it's out of the blue, something we didn't prepare for. And so we need to make sure that our mental health is intact. And that's why I'm glad, at least as of now in the UK, you can still go out for half an hour thereabout for your exercise. Just make sure you are maintaining social distancing, go for a walk, go to your garden every day now. Before, I can't remember when I saw my back garden. Every day I make sure we go to the garden, get a bit of sun. Imagine if the sun, the weather is good as well. You can do, there are lots of things to do to maintain your mental health. I think that is very, very important, because otherwise you could go the depression. Make sure you're not isolating yourself socially. So even if you're self-isolating at home, make sure you're on the mobile to someone, text messages, Instagram, Facebook, social media. Maintain social distancing. Find out what people are doing, how they're doing. Make sure there are people who are finding out how you are doing as well. And, if you feel lonely, talk to someone. It's so important. Our mental health particularly can be very adversely affected during this period, and we need to be proactively, managing it, our mental health, amongst other things, of course.
Thank you. Dr. Ati, what do you say to people? How do you advise our people out there as well to cope with this situation?
I think they should, just in addition to what Dr. Ade said, I think they should try and do the things they like. For instance, Mr. T goes on Facebook and gives us some vibes.
On Sundays.
Every Sunday or every weekend. That is what he loves to do. And that is what he likes to do. Dede plays keyboard every day. Whether it's a song I know or the song I don't know, Dede just goes on the keyboard. I like to do different kind of recipes that I don't even know. Some of them come out well, some of them Dede rejects them. So, but I just get on with it. so just do the things that make you happy. Go out for a few hours whilst you're still maintaining the social distancing, and try to filter what comes into you. Like Dr. Ade said, don't just take everything in. In fact, some of them, the moment you read the first two lines, if it's not something you can handle, just let it slide past, So that's a way to cope, and hook on to Mr. T if you don't have anything to do at the weekend. Just hook on, and he'll give you some old vibes that you don't.
Just go to visit your Facebook, search for DJ Power T, and every Sunday at 3 p.m. we are there to just to entertain you. Yeah.
Fantastic.
It's not really easy staying at home 24 hours. It's not easy, to be honest. I can just feel this now because I'm such a kind of person that I'm always like outdoor person. But now I have no choice. I just have to stay here. And that is why I have to think of one thing. And that is, do you know what I've always been telling people? What I tell them is try and do something, even if it's a silly thing. Just do it. Doesn't matter as long as it's going to help. Like you rightly said, Dr. Ade, that we need to take care of our mental health issue. If that is going to help, they should continue to do it. Dr. Ade, Dr. Ademola Adisa, thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate you. I hope one of these days we'll still call you, we'll still invite you again to come and be part of it.
Absolutely. It will be my pleasure. I found this very enjoyable. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, ma. Until next time. Thank you. All right. That's it, viewer. Until another time we come your way, this is Talashi Dayoba. Thank you. Bye.